سيد المرسلين وخاتم النبيين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين ومن اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولا شبيه ولا مثيل له ولا ضد ولا ند ولا جسد ولا صورة ولا أعضاء له. كان الله ولا مكان، فهو الآن على ما عليه كان، فلا تضربوا لله الأمثال ولله المثل الأعلى. تنزه ربي عن الجلوس والقعود وعن الحركة والسكون وعن الاتصال والانفصال. لا يحل فيه شيء ولا يحل منه شيء ولا يحل هو في شيء، لأنه ليس كمثله شيء. مهما تصورت بذلك فالله لا يشبه ذلك، ومن وصف الله بمعنى من معاني البشر فقد كفر. وأشهد أن سيدنا وعظيمنا وقائدنا وقرة أعيننا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله ونبيه وصفيه وحبيبه وخليله، أرسله الله هدى ورحمة للعالمين، هاديا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه سراجا وهاجا وقمرا منيرا. اللهم صل وسلم وأعظم وأنعم وأكرم على هذا النبي الكريم سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين، كلما ذكره الذاكرون وغفل عن ذكره الغافلون. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله، الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله، الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا عظيم الجاه. أما بعد، فنذكر أنفسنا بإخلاص النية لله تعالى في حضور هذا المجلس، مجلس علم الدين، لأن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم وصف مجالس علم الدين بأنها روضة من رياض الجنة. وفي مجالس علم الدين تنزل بركات ورحمات وأسرار خاصة، والثواب الذي يناله المسلم المخلص في مجالس علم الدين ثواب عظيم. فهنيئا لمن وفقه الله تعالى لهذا العمل. I praise Allah, I glorify Him, I thank Him for all the blessings that He gives without Him being obligated. And I ask Allah ta'ala to raise the rank of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and to protect his nation, his Muslim nation. I testify that no one deserves to be worshipped except Allah, the one without a partner, the one without an equal, the one without a similar, the one who is unlike anything in the universe, and nothing in the universe is like Him. He has no father, no mother, no sister, no brother, no son, and no daughter. He exists without time and place because He is the creator of time and place. He does not reside above the throne, and He is not attributed with fatigue, like the Jews say. Our Lord is glorified beyond any imperfection that the non-Muslims attribute to Him. Whatever you imagine in your mind, Allah Ta'ala does not resemble that. And whoever attributes an attribute of the creations to Allah is outside of Islam. And that is by the unanimous agreement, the ijma' of Ahlul Sunnah, that whoever attributes an attribute of the creations to Allah is outside of Islam. وَمَنْ وَصَفَ اللَّهَ بِمَعْنًا مِنْ مَعَانِي الْبَشَرِ فَقَدْ كَفَرَ. This is called ijma', a consensus, a unanimous agreement. And this was mentioned by who? Documented by who? By an Imam of the Salaf, Al-Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi. So it's nothing new. It's something known. And anyone who goes against that, anyone who says, if someone attributes an attribute of the creations to Allah, if someone says about that person that they are still Muslim, they themselves exit from Islam. Because the one who attributes an attribute of the creations to Allah, then he has attributed imperfection to Allah. He has attributed a defect to Allah. He has insulted Allah. So how could the one that insults Allah be a Muslim? Yani, be within the definition of Islam. They cannot. And that is by consensus, and that is by the judgment of the Quran, and that is by the judgment of the Hadith, and that is by the judgment of the consensus. وَمَنْ وَصَفَ اللَّهَ بِمَعْنًى مِنْ مَعَانِي الْبَشَرِ وَمَنْ وَصَفَ اللَّهَ بصفة من صفات البشر فقد كفر. الله أكبر. هذا واضح وهذا ليس فيه غموض وهذا فيه تصريح وهذا فيه الإجماع. So that's what the scholars of the Salaf, that's what the Muslims are upon. Okay? So any case that you know or hear, if someone attributes an attribute of the creations to Allah, such a person is a non-Muslim. And there is no difference of opinion about that. Allah Akbar, saw garden in here, like a garden. What is that? Moths? Where do they come from?
I'll take care of that.
Okay, sure. So this is important to understand why. And it's such a simple, basic concept, right, to understand that, is because if someone attributes an attribute of the creations to Allah, it's as if they're saying that Allah is weak, Allah is in need. It's as if they're saying that Allah has the same judgment as we do. So that applies, yani, if someone says about Allah, that he is in a place, in a physical place, where they say that Allah has organs. So if that's the case, and they know what the word organs means, they know what the word place means, and they attribute that to Allah, they exit from Islam. There is no difference of opinion about that. There is no difference of opinion about that, regardless of what some uneducated, disconnected, misguided, deviant, bought and sold people say. No matter how many books they bring you, they think that if they bring you a book that was literally like printed in the 21st century for an imam that lived like over 1,000 years ago, maybe or less, like 800 years ago, an imam of Islam, a true imam of Islam, that wrote a book supposedly. Let's say he wrote a book, right? Let's say he wrote a book. And he really wrote a book. Let's say there's an imam of Ahlul Sunnah really wrote a book. And with his hand, etc., he dictated to a student. And then 800 years later, right, someone prints that book. Let's say they print what they think is the book of that imam. They print it with technology and things like that. Right? Because the book that you buy, let's say the book that you get from the library or the PDF that you get, how did it get there? Is it a scan of the handwritten manuscript of that scholar or imam that, for example, has been validated and edited and authenticated, and we can say that imam wrote that we have the confirmation? Is that the case with those printed books? It's not the case. Anybody who is very simple, everybody knows this process. How do you get the book to be printed? You have to type it out. Plain and simple, you have to type it out. That copy that gets typed out, who's typing it? A human, but who? Who is that guy? Who is that man or woman that is typing this book? Who is it? Do we even know his name? No, we don't even know his name. So it's anonymous. Some anonymous person typed it out physically. Then that person sent the file, right, the Word file or whatever that they need, to whoever it is that's going to print it. And what did they do with it? Did they double click on it in the wrong place and accidentally delete a whole sentence or a whole paragraph or a letter or a word? And then they printed it. Where is the connection of that physically printed book to that imam? Where is it? It's not from the book itself. Right? It's not from the book itself. The connection to a scholar or an imam, like Al-Ash'ari or Al-Maturidi, like these imams that we know, Al-Shafi'i, Al-Imam Malik. I don't know if any of you know, but like you should hear some of the crazy things that some people say Imam Malik said. The Wahhabis, they talk about Imam Malik, and they say things that like Imam Malik, supposedly that he said, that would make you think like, SubhanAllah, what is this? Like, according to the Wahhabis, like Imam Malik was like the number one person speaking what they speak. Where is the connection? How do they know that Imam Malik said that? Where do they get that from? It has to be through people. And for us, for Ahl Sunnah, our connection to the scholars and to their words and to what they said and to their works and to their books has to be through people. You can't just pick up a book, right, that you got from Dar al-Kutub al-Ilmiyya. Yeah, they're going to catch that straight. You know why? Because they're known for having the, what they call in Arabic, نسخة سقيمة. دار الكتب العلمية اللبنانية هذه الدار معروفة بسقام نسخها. يسقط من المضمون أو من الموضوع أو من الصحيفة يعني أسطر كاملة. هذا معروف عن تلك الدار. This publishing house in Lebanon is called Dar al-Kutub al-Ilmiyya. They're a very big publishing house. But they're known to have what is called in Arabic diseased copies. Because in their books you have like complete paragraphs missing. You have complete whole entire sentences just deleted. And you can tell, like when you're reading, because how do we know this as students of the knowledge? We know this because some books that we take, and then we get them, we know that there's like this version of the book written by such and such imam, etc., that we can't find from our publishing house. So you just get it from another publishing house. It's easy to get. It's a well-known book. And you get the book and you're studying with your teacher and he's reading it and his explanation that he took, that he acquired, that he validated, that he has a connection through the chain of transmission. And he's reading and he's reading and he's reading and all of a sudden like you don't know what's happening. Like the words are not matching. And then you see he keeps on reading and then it starts matching again. Whoops, whole paragraph deleted. How would you know that if you didn't read it on someone? So that is case number one. Always keep that in mind. As a Muslim, when it comes to the knowledge, it has a connection. You can't just come and say, oh, look what it says in this book. The book that was printed in the 21st century? Did Al-Imam al-Baqillani have access to these laptops and these computers and these printing? Did he type it out? No, he didn't type it out. Who typed it out? We don't even know who typed it out. So don't come and tell me, look, it says here, Imam al-Baqillani said, oh, where's your chain? Where is your chain? Yeah, because you know what they do? I was talking about this in another class. There's a search engine. No, I think I also mentioned it as well last week or on Wednesday, I think, for Abu Shujaa. There's a search engine specifically for like Islamic material in Arabic. You can search, you see all these books here, they're all there inside of that search engine. But how does this information get into the search engine? Did قد يقال, the author of Fath al-Bari, make these words and things generate inside of that search engine? No, somebody took the time to type it out. And they most likely weren't doing it for free, and they most likely had a deadline, so you have all these factors. And could be a plant, right? He could be a plant. He He could be someone that infiltrates so that he can type in what he wants, so he can change one little thing here and there, one inflection, so he can change the meaning, right? For an agenda, right? It's not far-fetched. Because people that, are high profile or that they have like celebrity status and stuff like that, they play with Twitter bots. Why do they do that? Why are they going to spend money to have a bot? For what? To try and hijack the narrative, to try and spin the narrative. What's the narrative that they want to spin? The narrative that they want to spin is that they want to tell you that a Wahhabi is not a kafir. That's what they want. That's the agenda. That's the narrative that they want to spin. They want to say, we're Sunnis. We say Allah exists without a place. We celebrate the Mawlid. We do tabarruk. We do tawassul. But they want you to say, it's okay to judge a Wahhabi as a Muslim. Na'udhu billah. May Allah Ta'ala have mercy on our Shaykh. And anyone who is living through these times right now, and you can ask the older generation, the veterans, they've seen that unfold in a way that we haven't seen it, but even we can tell. The Shaykh, every single lesson, Allah is just out of place, giving the proof, giving the mental proof over and over and over and over, so that you would know it's insane for someone to say that about Allah and be judged as a Muslim. So that you know it's insane. That is blasphemy, kufr, to attribute that to Allah. It's so ingrained in your heart. So that when someone stands in front of you, who has a huge turban, and who's cloud chasing on the internet, right? Cloud chasing. For clicks and digital hugs. I kid you not, it is like that. Clicks? Cloud chasing. Nah. هو طالب للشهرة ليشتهر. That's it. That's what they call in English cloud chasing. When someone like that on social media, Facebook to be exact, I'm surprised that this person did not go on TikTok so that he can get those, like those hats and like those hearts that people get. That's literally, I swear by Allah, that's what was going in my mind as I'm watching this person. But anyway, this person, he presents himself as an Imam of Ahlul Sunnah, as a representative, na'udhu billah, he used those words, representative of the Imams and the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah, na'udhu billah, and his agenda is to convince you that a Wahhabi is not a kafir. This is his agenda. That you can say he's a kafir and you can say he's not a kafir, na'udhu billah. Subhanallah. The one who believes, who attributes, bodily attributes to Allah. That's the point that we got to. This is where we are in 2024. So may Allah Ta'ala have mercy upon our Shaykh. Because for us, it's known. It's bring any book that you want. Name any name that you want. Where is your connection to that? Where is your chain from supposedly your teacher who goes back and goes back and goes back and goes back to that Imam? Tell me. Show me. Because whatever the case is, right? Whatever the case is, the truth is not measured by men. Men are measured by the truth. So throw any big name that you want to try to camouflage and to misdirect. Oh, and they say, Imam Baqillani said this. Who are you to judge this and that? I have a mind, bruh. I have a mind. You can't sit there and tell me that someone who attributes bodily attributes to Allah, some Imam said he's a Muslim. Oof. How is that? That's wild. That's wild. And they say, oh yeah, those Imams, they said that because the people who they attribute those bodily attributes to Allah, they don't say that they think that Allah is a body. They just attribute those attributes to Him, but they don't say He is a body. Where does that make sense? So who does that make make sense to. This is literally what the Wahhabis do. They say, oh, Allah is physically above the throne, but we don't know how. I'm not saying that He's sitting down. I'm not saying that He's hovering. I'm not saying that He's touching the throne. I'm not saying that this, but He's there. Whatever that means. That's literally what Wahhabis do. Literally what the Christians do too. When we tell them, how would you say, like, Na'udhu you claim that God has children, this is naturally the creation. They say, we don't say that God had intercourse with Mary. What are you saying? What are you saying? So for us it's easy. And similar to that guy, some Jordanian guy, he claims that, and had the audacity, really the audacity. There's another guy, not Jordanian though. Not Jordanian, some American guy. Some American guy that pushes that narrative too, now that. There is no difference of opinion in Islam. There is no difference of opinion in Islam about the blasphemy of the one who attributes bodily attributes to Allah. There is no difference of opinion. None. There is no difference of opinion. None. There is a unanimous agreement about it. There is a unanimous agreement about it. And really, literally, you can literally use La ilaha illallah as a refutation to those people. Because even those people, and it's so strange, and that's why it's so strange, it's very strange, that's why I say it, bought and sold. Right? That's why I say that. They're cloud chasers, they don't really care about the culture of Islam, about the tradition of Islam. What they care about is just likes and fame and digital hugs. Clicks and digital hugs is what it is. So, these people, they say about Allah that He has bodily attributes. Bodily attributes. So we say, and even they say, whatever has bodily attributes, then it's a creation. And because they say, yes, the people who believe that, they're misguided. The people who say that Allah has bodily attributes, they're misguided. They're off the mark. They're not Ahlul Sunnah. But they refuse to judge them as a kafir. They refuse to say about them that they're blasphemers. It's very strange. But anyway, with La ilaha illallah, is enough. No one deserves to be worshipped except Allah. Whatever has bodily attributes, is it Allah? No. Period. Period. Is that so difficult? That's not difficult. Number one, we stand on the truth. Always, and that's when I say we, I'm talking about the AICP. I'm talking about the students of Shaykh Abdullah al-Harawi. رحمات الله عليه وجزا الله عنا شيخنا خيرا. Because really, these people are sick. They prey on the weak-minded. Literally, one of them on social media posted this post. He literally put like one of those text posts that he put like it's like a status. He's like, I'm gonna. He's like, I know that the main people in the ACP that they're going to stand their ground and they're going to, they're not going to be swayed by what I tell them, what I show them, but I'm going to go after those that are the weak-minded ones, the weak ones. Literally about himself, he said that. He's going to prey on the weak. All of that, just so that they can try and push it through, so that nobody calls a Wahhabi a kafir. And this is something that I recently noticed. I wasn't aware of this wave until I started having more experience like with Wahhabis online. And they would say things like, so do you judge this and this as blasphemy? And I was like, of course, this is basic. Like, yes, of course I judge you as a blasphemer if you believe that Allah is sitting on the throne or established on the throne or rising above the throne. And then they'll say stuff like, oh, that's just you. That's just your group. The other, supposedly they call it Sufis. They say the other Sufis and the other supposed Sunnis, they don't judge us as blasphemers. That's what they say. And they name names, right? Really famous names. And you know what comes to mind when I see that? And they're still alive, some of them, I think. They're still alive and they're famous and they give speeches like hundreds and hundreds of people that they believe the Wahhabis are misguided and they believe that Mawlid is okay and permissible and they believe that it's permissible to do tawassul and tabarruk. They believe all the things that, like these known traditions of Ahlul Sunnah, except when it comes to Wahhabi, they'll say, oh, you know, they're Muslim too. Now we'll do that. Now we'll do that. And that's the kufr. That's kufr. So our Shaykh protected us and gave us the evidence. That's why we stand on it. We stand on it completely. That's the negative effect of those famous big names that are associated with the Sunnah, right? So I'm not going to mention any of their names right now because they know, it's known who they are. They have done a disservice and they have betrayed the Muslims. And what brings to mind? It brings to mind the saying of Shaykh Abdullah. That he has and the meaning of it is that he has a right that he deserves to be settled from them on Judgment Day. That he's going to, on Judgment Day, he's going to come, he's going to be asking for his right. Because they betrayed and they abandoned and they stayed quiet and they didn't do what they're supposed to do. The scholars, a lot of them. And we see that today, we see the negative effects of that today. All they have to do is speak the truth, but because of emotion, because of ego, because of whatever, they let the people down. But we're going to still stand on the truth and we're not going to let up on that now. SubhanAllah. It's really sad and it is disturbing. We're going to continue on with collection of witness from the sessions of Shaykh Abdullah, the son of Muhammad, the son of Yusuf al-Harari. May the vast mercy of Allah be upon him. The great scholar, or the greatest scholar of his time, and the great scholar and highly righteous Muslim. So we got to lesson 10, page 57, if you're reading along. Lesson 10, the right of the man on the woman and the right of the parents. A lesson given by the Hafil. The Hafil, the scholar of fundamentals of the creed, Shaykh Abdullah, the son of Muhammad al-Abdari, may Allah have mercy upon him, on the 15th of Jumad al-Akhirah, in the year 1403, and it is explaining about the right of the man upon the woman and the rights of the parents. This lesson was heard from him by Shaykh Nabil, the son of Muhammad al-Sharif, and Shaykh Samir, the son of Sami al-Qadi. May Allah bless them, protect them, have mercy upon them, and benefit us from their blessings. Shaykh Abdullah, may Allah have vast mercy upon him, said, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. To him belong the endowments and proper commendations. May Allah raise the rank of our Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his Muslim relatives and protect his nation from that which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam fears for it. Thereafter, we have narrated with a connected chain in the book Al-Mustadrak by Al-Hakim from the route of Aisha, may Allah Ta'ala accept her deeds, that she said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أعظم الناس حقا على المرأة زوجها وأعظم الناس حقا على الرجل أمه. It means the person who has the most rights on the woman is her husband. Allahu Akbar. May Allah facilitate for the Muslims to implement the rules of Islam. Ameen. The one who has the most rights on the man is his mother. This is an authentic, confirmed hadith, judged as authentic, confirmed by Hakim and others, and it contains explaining the greatness of the right of the man upon his wife more than the right of other than him. And the right of the man upon his wife more than the right of other than him. And because there's still, even if a woman is married, there's still people that have a right over her, but no one has a right over her more than her husband. And this is why Allah made it forbidden for her to leave his house without his permission for other than a necessity. And he forbade her to let someone whom he hates enter his house. Hence, she does not have the right to let someone her husband hates enter his house. And he hates, the word is strong and commonly associated with an extreme and a spectrum, but it's not exclusive to that extreme. Because you can hate someone, and the things that come to mind are on extreme, on the spectrum. But here it just means like someone he doesn't accept, someone that he would not like for that person to be in his house. Whether he was a relative to her or not. Whether he was a relative to her or not. So let's say, if her dad comes knocking on the door, if her mom comes knocking on the door, if her brother comes knocking on the door, if her sister comes knocking on the door, if her aunt comes knocking on the door, if her niece comes knocking on the door, if her nephew comes knocking on the door, if her grandpa or her grandma or her uncle, paternal or maternal, or aunt, maternal or paternal, or cousin, whoever it is that, let's say, shares some blood connection, that comes knocking on the door, and the husband does not want them to come inside, it's his right. Even if they came from, some might say, China. It's that simple, it's that clear, it's that easy. So if, let's say they knock on the door and they want to come in and he says, no, what's the wife going to do? Is she going to get enraged and then curse at him and kick him and hit him and scratch his face and curse him? Would that be permissible? No, it would not be permissible. Would that be justified? No, it would be justified. Would she have grounds to do that? No, she wouldn't have grounds to do that. But it might happen. So as a husband, you have to, or as a Muslim that has wisdom or seeks to avoid getting kicked and scratched in the face and spit on and cursed at, you might reconsider letting it happen. Because if there's nothing, if they're not going to come inside and do anything forbidden, and they're just going to sit and have tea and chit chat or talk or something like that, then why not let them in? Let them in, have their tea, talk to each other. They're not going to stay there forever. Half an hour, an hour. Even if they came from China, maybe they didn't get an Airbnb or a hotel. They stayed there for how long? 2 weeks? All right. What's it going to cost you? But so the husband really doesn't need a reason. But if he doesn't have a reason to not let them in, then let them in. Lillahi ta'ala. You don't want to get beat up by your wife. And Allah forbade her also from preventing him from his right of enjoyment and what calls for that, like fancying herself, except if she had a situation where she had a bodily excuse or a religious excuse. Because basically, the main thing Basically, the main objective, if you will, of marriage is to make the private part halal. To make the private part halal. That's as technical as I could put it in the Islamic law. And that's how it is in Arabic too. Except, it's almost a literal translation, almost. So, let's say that same incident. Now, let's just keep it going with the consistency. The family came from China, all the way from China. They came all the way from China. How much is the ticket from China to America? Is it expensive? Is it like over $1,000? They paid over $1,000 to come to visit their relative. And the husband simply just said no. You know, maybe he just, let's say he didn't know or whatever, the house wasn't as clean as he wanted it to be. He didn't want it to come in right then, like he wanted to come in like tomorrow or something like that, let's say. He didn't want it to come in right at that moment, right? No big deal. But then let's say, because of that, let's say, not to go to an extreme, but it is a true thing, that happens. But let's say she didn't kick and spit and scratch and beat him up or curse him, but she was upset and she was disturbed, bothered. She wasn't feeling that. But then later that night, what does the husband want to do? And he wants to be with his wife in that way. Can she, because she's mad and upset, my family came all the way from China and you didn't let them in. So now, can she say, well, I'm not going to? Can she say that? No. Can she do that? No. She has no right, no grounds. Except the Shaykh said, if she had a situation where she had a bodily excuse or a religious excuse. In that case, of course, the religion offers her that way out. Why? Because the religion is fair and just. And whatever Allah Ta'ala revealed is just. So if she has a valid excuse, then yeah. But not because she's upset, because he didn't let her family inside, let's say. Not because of that. And if he tells her, I want you to wear this and I want you to wear that, she can't say, oh, I don't want to, I'm mad because you didn't let my family in. I'm going to cause you a disturbance like you caused me. Now I really believe that. This is from the ways of the devil. This is from the ways of the shaitan. And subhanAllah, may Allah protect us from such a thing. But it seems like some brothers, they go through this. They provide, they treat their wives well, they have good manners with them, they treat them gently with kindness, and they provide food, clothing, and shelter, more than the minimum, way more than the minimum, and they have to beg their wives to fulfill their right, and begging without a result. Because I can understand, let's say in a certain situation, begging if it gets you a result, but begging and still not getting it, really that. This is why it is an enormous sin, subhanAllah. The angels damned that woman. And Allah protect us from that enemy. The bodily excuse is like for her to be sick and does not bear to give him what he is requesting from her. The religious excuse is like for her to be in her period or postpartum bleeding or in a situation where the prayer time would be too short for her to pray if she did what he wanted. So here we got 3 examples. One example is if she's sick. If she's sick and by the intercourse she'll be harmed, then she could say no. The second excuse is through the religion, and religiously, and because of a religious reason, because Allah revealed that this is forbidden during that time, when she's on her period or when she's on her postpartum bleeding. So even if he wants to, even if she wants to, they can't do it. The third one is also because of that. Because let's say she delayed the prayer, but now there's only enough time for her to do the prayer. If she were to have intercourse and then after that make ghusl and then go through the prayer, the time would be out. So because there's no time left to fulfill the obligation of the prayer, and there's only time left to fulfill the obligation of the prayer, then she has to give that precedence over the intercourse. So the intercourse can be done, and it doesn't have a specific window of time outside of the issue of purity. So you don't give precedence to the intercourse over prayer. So in that case, she can say, no, I have to pray. In that case, she can say, no, let me pray. And she has to. She can't just say, oh, she can't just like, let's say, give in to him insisting. The hadith also contains the explanation of the right of the mother upon the man, because she is the person who has the most right upon him. And she is the one most deserving among the people for him to be barr with her. Okay. So the way it was written is with the underline of the A, for him to be barrun with her. من البر واسم فاعل من البر من بر يبر. This lesson has some deep stuff, mashallah. You're going to see. The Shaykh said, I just want to read the Arabic because it's important. It says here, وفيه أيضا يعني وفي الحديث بيان عظم حق الأم على الرجل لأنها أعظم الناس حقا عليه فهي أولى بالبر من سائر الناس. So the mother is the most deserving among the people for the man for him to be barrun with her. That's what they were here. And awla bil birri means that she takes precedence in obeying than anybody else. And the man, for the dynamic between the man and the mother, his mother. So his mother has the most right over him in terms of this this obedience. Likewise, the woman who is not married has the same judgment as the man. Now for the woman, there's a detail. Right? Before she's married, then she's like the man in that case. The person who has the most right over her is her mom. And the person who is most deserving of her obedience and who takes precedence, her obedience takes precedence than the obedience of somebody else, is the mother. Same as the man. For the woman, before she's married. Before. The woman who is not married has the same judgment as the man, for the person among the people most deserving of being obeyed by her is her mother. So the woman who is not married and the man are the same in this judgment. Therefore, it is understood from this that if the man was not able to support his poor Muslim mother and father, he would give precedence to the mother. That is, he would spend on his mother because of his inability to pay the support for the father along with the mother. Yani if someone was the same only child and he had Muslim parents, and those Muslim parents were poor, right? Even if they're able to work, what's the judgment? That Muslim child is obligated to support them financially. Food, clothing, and shelter. Yani if he's able. If he's not able, if he's poor too, then what's he going to do? He's not going to get a sin. Right? But if he's able, he has a 5-bedroom mansion, driving a Mercedes or BMW or whatever, and then what's he going to do with his Muslim parents? He's going to throw them in the old folks' home? Now, were they abused? Were they abused? I saw a documentary one time, or was it a documentary or something, like a news report or something, about this old folks' home, that they were like being exposed for abusing some of the people, and one of the people that they were abusing was a Muslim, an old Muslim man. That his kids, subhanAllah, put him in the old folks' home. Na'udhu billah. But so let's say that that Muslim child is the only child. His Muslim parents are poor, but he can only afford to take care of one. Who does he choose? He chooses his mom. Whether he wants to or not. Whether she treated him good when he was a kid or not. Whether she was the one who, let's say, took care of him and gave him kindness and mercy and loved him or not. Right? Because sometimes sometimes a parent mistreats their child. Literally, we've seen it's not only amongst the non-Muslims. This happens amongst people that identify as Muslims as well. But we've seen amongst the non-Muslims, like we mentioned last time, they leave their kids at home for 10 days, little babies, and they starve to death and they die. So they go on a cruise. So they go on vacation. They say, I need a break from this baby that I had. So I'm going to go on a cruise. And then they come back and the baby's dead. To that extent. There's that one famous person, one case that was famous. I forgot her name. Some girl named, I think it was Casey Anthony or something like that. She killed her little baby and went to the club. And then pretended that she was distraught and everything when she was missing, and then pretending oh, please find my baby. And she killed it. So there are parents like that. And there are parents that, to that extreme, they'll kill their own children. There's parents that they don't go to that level where they kill their children, but they do abuse their children. They abuse them verbally, they abuse them physically, they abuse them sexually. That happens. Na'udhu billah. May Allah protect us from that and our children. That has happened, that happens, still happens. Amongst the non-Muslims, for sure it happens. And it does even happen, supposedly, allegedly, right? Because we need evidence. But there has been any reports of that, talks of that. So even amongst Muslims. But whether that was the case with your parents or with the Muslim parents or not, if they get to that age, let's say if they are old, and whether they're old or not, but if you are able to support them and they need it, they're poor, you have to do it. And if you can only afford to take care of one, who are you going to choose? You don't choose based on your emotions, you don't choose based on your bias. The religion tells you have to go with the mom first. And the dad can't get mad. He can't say, oh, how come you're doing this to me, son? Can't do that. And some people understand, some people don't understand. That is, he would spend on his mother because of his inability to pay the support for the father along with the mother. As for whoever was able to support both, he would support both of them as an obligation. The right of obedience that the Muslim parents have over the child does not get canceled because the parents mistreated him when he was a small child. Hence, the one whose mother or his father abandoned him when he was small, and so he was cut off from them doing good to him, and from them providing him the obligatory support, and then the child gets big, he is not allowed to reciprocate that maltreatment with maltreatment. And it is not permissible for him to say, they did not have mercy on me while I was small. Instead, they did not take care of me and left me to hunger and thirst and nakedness. And so today I will treat them in a similar way. He can't say that Muslim child. If he does that, he will fall into an enormous sin, and that is the sin of uquq to his Muslim parents. The sin which the Prophet ﷺ spoke about by saying, 3 types of people will not enter paradise with the first batches. The one who harms his Muslim parents severely, the one who knows that his woman fornicates and stays quiet and does not prevent her from fornicating while being able to prevent it, and that in English is called a cuck. Or he brings her people to fornicate with, and the woman who intentionally imitates men. And so the cuck it encompasses both. It is someone who lets or is aware and doesn't do anything about someone else fornicating with their wife. Whether they do that for the enjoyment to watch it because this is their perversion, or whether they don't want to be there, they don't physically want to be there when it's happening, but they let it go. They don't do anything about it. They don't try anything to stop it. من هو هذا في اللغة العربية؟ الديوث. نعوذ بالله. الديوث هو الرجل الذي يعلم أن امرأته تزني ويسكت ولا يحول بينها وبين الزنا مع القدرة على ذلك، أو هو يجب لها الزنا. نعوذ بالله. هذا بعضهم اشتهر بهذا الأمر يعني في أيامه، يعني وليس ممن ينتسب إلى الإسلام، يعني من الكفار أكيد، لأنهم أكالون للخنزير، فيتصفون ببعض صفات الخنزير ومنها عدم الحياء. نعوذ بالله. Yes. وقال امرأته، لكن لا أظنه يريد بذلك تحديد ذلك، هو في أهله. يقول وفي كتاب تاج العروس: الديوث هو القوال على أهله والذي لا يغار على أهله. وفي المحكم، تسمع بهذا الكتاب المحكم: هو الذي يدخل الرجال على حرمته بحيث يراهم كأنه لين نفسه على ذلك. وقال ثعلب: هو الذي تؤتى أهله وهو يعلم. فالأهل عادة يطلق ويراد به بالأهل الزوج. So this hadith tells us that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ثلاثة لا يدخلون الجنة العاق لوالديه والديوث ورجلة النساء. يعني المراد بهذا لا يدخلون الجنة يعني الذي فيه هذه الصفات أو الذي ينطبق عليه هذا الوصف إذا كان مسلما ومات على الإسلام ولم يتب من هذه المعاصي، هذا إن لم يغفر له يعني يدخل النار أولا قبل أن يدخل الجنة، فلن يدخل الجنة مع الأولين. هذا معنى هذا التعبير في الحديث. مثلا من اتصل بكذا من الصفات لا يدخل الجنة، لا يعني ذلك أنه محروم من دخول الجنة البتة، أنه لا يعني ذلك أنه لن يدخل الجنة أبدا. معناه يعني إن لم يغفر له يعذب أولا قبل أن يدخل الجنة، فلن يدخل الجنة مع الأولين. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said that these three types of people will not enter paradise with the first batches. That is, if they die as Muslims without repenting from these sins. If they had repented from these sins before they died, then they won't be tortured for those sins. So the Prophet ﷺ said three types of people will not enter paradise with the first batches: the one who harms his Muslim parents severely and who does uquq to his Muslim parents. It has to be Muslim parents. This judgment does not apply to the non-Muslim. The one who knows that his woman fornicates and stays quiet and does not prevent her from fornicating while being able to prevent it, where he brings her people to fornicate with, that's all in one category. And the woman who intentionally imitates men. Allahu Akbar. The woman who intentionally imitates men. Isn't We don't mean like, let's say, she's in the gym, bench pressing 145, and, we're not talking about that. It's okay to be fit, it's okay to be strong. That's not imitating men. We're talking about doing things that are specifically, and according to Islam, specific to men. And there's certain things like that. Now, may Allah protect us from the sickness of the mind. Sickness of the mind. And nowadays, like that's really it's a really popular thing that people do. They change their name supposedly, and they mutilate their body, and they say, "I'm a man." And they have to make sure to put some bass in their voice. Now, that's imitating men.
So in the way they dress and in the way
And the way they dress, if the clothes that they wear are specific to men, and if they put the bass in their voice so that they can sound like a man, that's haram also. And also, like, literally calling yourself a man, that's big time haram.
how about someone's asking haircut?
Haircut, some scholars, they said it's not permissible for a woman to shave her head, but some said it is permissible. So, I don't know how far you can go with a haircut. I don't know if there is a haircut that is specific to men, or if there's a haircut that's judged like that. But clothes, and even like the voice, can't think of anything right now also that's specific to men.
Women putting a qaws.
Oh, wearing a bow and
Qaws
arrow?
like the man.
Okay.
I don't know the exact form.
No. Very good. The Shaykh said, "This child who abandons his Muslim parents when they are old and in need of him due to their poverty, because they had abandoned him when he was small and they did not have any compassion towards him, and so he reciprocated their maltreatment and he abandoned them, he would be counted among those who harmed the Muslim parents severely, and he would be deserving of this severe torture, which is that he would not enter paradise with the first batches. Rather, he would enter it after being tortured with the rest. That is, if he ends up dying as a Muslim. Otherwise, he will not enter paradise at all. And the one who dies as an accountable non-Muslim, he won't enter paradise at all. There is no difference in this between the man and the woman. Rather, the goodness that makes the person gain the greatest bir, being obedient to his Muslim parents, is to go against himself, his inclination, and to be barun to them, even though they abandoned him while he was small. This person gets more reward than the child who obeys his parents when they are old and poor, and they have been good to him and merciful to him, and they raised him with tenderness, mercy, and luxury. That is, giving him more than what he needed while he was small. Likewise, the rest of the kin. So the one who keeps ties with the kinship, who severed ties with him, then this person gets more reward from Allah than the one who keeps the ties of kinship with the kin who did not cut him off. And they said, وَاسِلُ بِالْكَافِرِ ولكن الواصل من وصل رحمه إذا قطع. That's the known rule. And the one who's truly doing that good virtue that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, who's doing it perfectly, ideally, completely, is the one who does it to the one who doesn't do it to him. You want to have the high virtue? Be nice to the one who's mean to you. You want to have the high virtue? Keep in touch with the relative who never wants to talk to you. Of course you get reward for being nice to someone who's nice to you. Of course you get reward for being nice to someone or keeping the ties of kinship with someone who keeps the ties of kinship with you. But how much breaking of the self does it take to be nice to someone who's mean to you? How much? How much reward do you think they would get for the one that is mean to you, for you to be nice to them? This matter, many people are heedless of it, and they do not do it. Rather, This is the situation of most people today. They cut ties with their kin that does not keep ties with them, and so one of them would say, they don't know me, so I also do not know them. Na'udhu billah. This is the way of the devil. This is the way of shaitan. It's the way of al-nafs al-abnara bis-su'. It's the way of the ego that is constantly pushing and insisting for the person to do evil. SubhanAllah. May Allah protect us, ameen. Furthermore, such a person is deprived of much goodness. Now, of course, I'm nowhere near Shaykh Abdullah, but hopefully the words that are coming across, there is some of that impact, I guess, if he was saying. Hopefully. Because anyway, it's a translation of his words. Furthermore, the kin is the one who is a relative to the person, and the most prioritized of the kin are the mother and the father, and then the grandfather and the grandmother, the sons, the children of the sons, the daughters, the children of the daughters, then the maternal uncles and aunts, and the paternal uncles and aunts. So there is a prioritization. Then among the tactics of the devil, min madakhil ash-shaytan, which he uses to get to the human to destroy him, yani among the tactics of the shaitan, that he uses to destroy the human, is that if there was a split between the mother and the father, and one of them was unjust, the devil would push him to take the side of the one who is unjust. And so he would say, I will definitely support my mother against my father. That happens, still happens to this day. And so he would do injustice to his father. Or he would say the opposite. I will definitely support my father and take his side. While the case is that he is the unjust one. Both of those matters are among the things that make the person deserve to be damned. Both of those things make the person deserving of damnation. And the one who is saved is the one who is saved from all that. And وَالنَّاجِي مَنْ سَلِمَ مِنْ ذَلِكَ كُلِّهِ. And the one who is saved is the one who is free from all that stuff, and he doesn't do any of that. Among the stories that show the greatness of birr, obeying the mother, is that a man among the famous pious Muslims, known as Bilal al-Khawwas, and there should, if you have this copy, the first edition, page 60, it seems like there is just a minor typo, just so you know. The name, Al-Khawwas, should have an underline under the S. So it should be K-H-A, and under the A too. W-W-A-S with an underline under the A and the S. The underline under the A to signify the elongation, the med, and the underline under the S to signify the sad. So this famous righteous pious Muslim, his name is Bilal al-Khawwas. He said, I was in the area where the children of Israel were made to walk lost, and what's known as the wilderness. And I found a man walking with me, and I was inspired to believe that it was Al-Khadir. And so I asked him about Anas, the son of Malik, and he said, he is the Imam of the Imams. And then I asked him about Ash-Shafi'i, and he said, he is among the Awtad. And then I asked him about Ahmad, the son of Hanbal, and so he said, he is a Siddiq, which is it's the highest level of being a wali, but within that level there's levels. And the one who's at the highest level of that amongst the regular Muslims is Abu Bakr. So Abu Bakr is at and that's also known as Maqam al-Ihsan. He is at the level of as-Siddiqiyya, and within that level there's levels, and he has the highest level in that level, but there's other awliya that can reach that category of Maqam al-Ihsan or as-Siddiqiyya. And he said, so basically this pious Muslim, Bilal al-Khawwas, he was walking by himself in that area where the children of Israel were made to walk in after they crossed the Red Sea, after they were saved from the Pharaoh. Those Muslims from the children of Israel, that they were ungrateful. A lot of them were ungrateful, and 70,000 of them, they committed blasphemy and they worshipped the golden calf. Because they didn't want to go into the land that Allah ordered them to go in and to fight the people that were there, they were made to walk around, wandering around for 40 years. So fast forward to the nation of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This pious Muslim, this famous pious Muslim, his name was Bilal al-Khawas. He was walking around there by himself. He was just walking there by himself. Allahu Akbar. Not something that he was walking there by himself. And then all of a sudden, he saw, he found the man, like all of a sudden there was a man walking with him. So he was inspired to think that it was Al-Khadir. You know this was Al-Khadir? Al-Khadir is a prophet according to the stronger saying, and according to the stronger saying also, that he's been alive, and since the days of Abraham. And he's been alive, even until our time, according to the stronger saying. That he's a prophet, and he's still alive.
Is it the time of Abraham, or that he's the cousin of the grandfather before?
That from the time of Abraham, he's been alive. Not that that's when he was born, but he's known to be alive during that time. And that's way before the time of Moses. And that's for sure way before the time of this nation. So this Muslim from this nation, this righteous Muslim, he all of a sudden saw somebody walking with him, and he was inspired to believe that it was Al-Khadir. So this is a great thing, it's an amazing thing. And Al-Khadir, according to the strongest saying, he's still alive, and he does come into contact with certain righteous Muslims, with certain pious Muslims, and he gives them a benefit. But anyway, so that pious Muslim, he took the opportunity and he asked him about these people. So he got the answer. Then he said, and I asked him about Bishr al-Hafi. Shout out to the family, the Hafi family. They have this honor, mashallah. And he said that no one like him has been created after him. So he asked Al-Khadir about Bishr al-Hafi, a very famous righteous pious Muslim, and Al-Khadir answered him, no one like him has been created after him. He said, I said to him, I ask you, by the status of Allah, who are you? And so after he asked Al-Khadir these questions, now he wants to get the confirmation. Is it him? So he asked him by the status of Allah. Because the pious people, like when you do that, usually they respond. And he said, I am Al-Khadir. And so I said, what is the reason that enabled me to see you? Right? Because he knew that it doesn't happen just normally to anyone. He said, your birr, obedience to your mother. The meaning is that the meritorious thing that made you deserving of seeing me is you being obedient to your mother. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Yani he got the answer from Al-Khadir about who he was. So he knew that it's Al-Khadir. He knew that this is a righteous, pious Muslim and a prophet. And so he knows that this is something special that's happening to him. Because Al-Khadir doesn't live on the land. And he's actually invisible to the general public. He's only visible to those that have gotten that special thing. So he got that special thing because of his obedience to his mother. MashaAllah. And Allah Ta'ala grant us similar types of special blessings and things. Ameen. Before we conclude, and I know that we were going over the time a little bit, but because we are in this blessed time, we are in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, I wanted to mention something about it because so that we can benefit from that time. Yeah, these are the best 10 days of the year, And so it would be good to benefit from these days. So the deeds, it's important to do many good deeds throughout this time because the reward is amplified. So there's certain times where Allah Ta'ala He makes the reward great or greater than normally other than that time. So it's like seasons of goodness, seasons where the reward will be multiplied. And this is one of those seasons. So obviously these days, they have their merit. They're inside of the month of Dhul Hijjah, which is one of the Hurum months. What does it mean, Hurum months? It means like the months that they have this special judgment, special honor, special respect. And also, these days were mentioned, and nights obviously, were mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Fajr. Wal-Fajr, wa-layalin ashr, is referring to the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So this has been confirmed in the tafsir. Also, the fasting during these days, and whoever fasts, it's highly recommended to fast these first days, and besides the Eid. So from Dhul Hijjah 1 to number 9, which is the day of Arafat. Specifically, the day of Arafat is highly emphasized to fast, except for the person that is performing the Hajj. The dua is likely to be answered during this time, especially on the day of Arafat. The shaitan during these times, and when the Muslims are performing the rituals of the Hajj, and they throw the stones, and we're going to have, inshallah, there might be more details that are given in another class. But in some of the rituals that the Muslims, they perform during the Hajj, it symbolizes and signifies the rejection of the shaitan, and that he's degraded and humiliated. And so basically during these days, do a lot of good deeds, say a lot of dhikr, make a lot of supplication, try to be a better Muslim than you normally would be, let's say, outside of these days. Recall that, these are blessed and honored days, and so you want to be on your best behavior. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Are there any questions about anything? No.
Have you ever heard that performs Hajj every year?
Oh, never heard that. Inshallah.
No, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
They're trying to.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that before.
Or like he visits the Kaaba with another prophet and he says certain dua.
MashaAllah, okay. No, I've never heard that before. The next class, class 11, will be about humbleness, and it's short. It's like less than a page and a half. Then the next one after that is the judgment of cursing the Muslim. So we'll be going over those inshallah next week. Any other questions? Nuhallil, La ilaha illallah, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. ربي اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات وبارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم.